Okay. So let's keep talking about the Tempest. I want to jump to the bottom of page one. Miranda, that is the name of Prospero's daughter. Oh, you know what I should say before we get started on this too much too? Um, in the play, Prospero is a wizard, and Prospero is a man. In the movie version, Prospero is a woman, played by Helen Mirren. So you're going to hear me throughout these videos. Sometimes I'm going to say he, sometimes I'm going to say she. I'm going to try to just say they all the time, because I'm going to think about Prospero as being some kind of genderqueer wizard. I think Dumbledore would approve. Um, but I want to kind of the point is that in the movie it's a woman and that in the play it's a man. But don't let that confuse you. She's called Prospera in the movie, but it's Prospero in the book. And one of the things I like about the movie is that they do cross gender casting. One of the things that's cool about Shakespeare is he just left us words for actors to say, and so it feels totally okay to change the gender of actors in Shakespeare, to change the races. In the movie version, Caliban is black. That is an interesting thing to do with Caliban, to have him be played by a black guy. Because one of the things that Caliban is he is a slave for Prospero. And so that brings up all kinds of interesting, it makes you think about American slavery. Is it a metaphor for American slavery? See, that's interesting. Metaphors. So anyway, the point is that it's a woman plays it in the movie, and it's a man in the play. Okay, so let's take a look at the play. I'm at the bottom of page one. So Miranda, and this is going to be a little confusing, unfortunately, because of the page turn. It's just in a very unpleasant place at the bottom here. But Miranda says to her dad, Prospero, the wizard, she says, "If by your art, my dearest father, you have put the wild waters in a roar, allay them." Meaning, if you've caused this to happen, calm it down. Now, one of the things I want to really point out that's really interesting is this word art. Ugh, where's my finger? If by your art, my dearest father, you have put the wild waters in this roar, allay them. By the way, I'm not teaching sound because that's too complicated, but wild waters in a roar, it's a cool sounding phrase. It sounds like rushing water, the wild waters in a roar. It has a sort of, we talked about this weeks ago, but that sound must seem an echo to the sense. The sound of the words should match what they're talking about, and wild waters in a roar really makes it sound like crashing waves and ocean and things. It's cool. That's what Shakespeare's good at. It's hard for people to see that now. It's hard for people to hear it now because you got to train your ear to notice stuff like that, and we don't really do that, but you could. So what I want to point out about the bottom of page two that's so crucial for what's going to follow is that Miranda says, "If by your art, my dearest father, you have put the wild waters in this roar, allay them." Meaning, if you used your magic spells to cause this storm, please stop. Now, what I want you to notice immediately is the use of the word art. And I think I've talked about this before. It comes up in a lot of my classes, and it'll probably come up in this class before. But the word art is a complicated word. When you hear the word art, you probably think about paintings and statues in a museum. And you're not wrong. That's exactly what art is. But art has a bigger meaning than that. The word art means skill. Write that down. The word art means skill. Now, one of the skills that it means is the skill in painting, skill in sculpture, skill in music, because these are works of art, meaning that they are works of skill. You have to be skillful to make them. But art means skill. You actually already know this. I probably already talked about this in class, but I can never remember what I've told one class and another class, and I can't see your faces to know if you've already heard this before, so I'm going to say it again. The martial arts. The martial arts. Martial there means related to Mars, the god of war. Mars is the Roman god of war. The martial arts are the skills of the god of war. Right? Martial arts are war skills. If you may be majoring in the liberal arts in college, the liberal arts are the liberal skills. What does liberal mean? It means free. So what are the liberal arts? The liberal arts are the skills of the free people. As opposed to what? As opposed to slaves. The liberal, if you're majoring in liberal arts, you are majoring in the skills that liberal people, meaning free people, liberal, liberate, liberty. The liberal arts is the skills for free people, as opposed to slaves. When you think about the skills that slaves need, they just need one skill. picking cotton, or one skill, whatever you've got them doing whatever work of slavery you want them to do. They just need that one skill and no others. If you know anything about the history of American slavery, you know that they don't let slaves read books. In fact, they not only do they not want them to read books, they will punish and kill them if they do read books. They want them slaves only need to know one thing, which is how to do one job, and they're just supposed to do it until they die. But free people need to know all kinds of different things, not just skill in one particular kind of labor, but a whole bunch of stuff. Students hate this, by the way, because they often come to BMCC for better jobs. And so they want to be an accountant or a computer programmer, and they just want to take classes in that. And then they're annoyed because the school says, well, you must also take classes in psychology. You have to take Jeff Klock's poetry class. You have to take, anthropology class, a history class. You got to take a foreign language. They like, why are there all these requirements? This is stupid. I just want to learn one skill for my job. But the problem is that even though liberal arts is a major, no matter what you major in, the university, CUNY, is a liberal arts college. So whatever you major in, even if it's not liberal arts, it's still basically liberal arts because they're going to make you take all of these different things. Why do they do that? Because they think free people should know a little bit about music and a little bit about painting, and they should know a little bit about history, and they should know a little bit about world cultures, and they should know a little bit about poetry, and a little bit about linguistics, and a little bit about psychology, a little bit about philosophy, a little politics. That's what free people need. They need knowledge in lots of different areas because it contributes to their freedom. It helps your mind to be free, so that you can think of all kinds of complicated things that they don't want slaves thinking of. And so that's why it's called liberal arts. But even if you're not majoring in liberal arts, CUNY is a liberal arts college, so you're getting it. And that's why you have to take those required courses, the buckets or whatever that you're supposed to take, I forget what it is, but individual and society or world cultures or whatever. You're supposed to take those because the college is liberal arts. So one of the first things I want you to notice that Miranda says in The Tempest, she tells her dad, the wizard Prospero, if by your art, my dearest father, you have put the wild waters into this roar, allay them. The word art there means skill. If by your skills you caused this storm, turn it off, save these people. So let's start with our first big idea in the play, metaphor. When she says by your art, she means his magic powers, because he's a fucking wizard, and he can control the weather and sink the ship. That's what he's doing. So she says, if you used your wizard powers to do this, please stop. But notice the word art. There's a metaphor going on here with the word art, because what it means for the character. Remember, author and audience always talk about what did the author intend and what does the audience hear? What did the audience get out of it? The character Miranda is saying to the character Prospero, "Hey, Dad, use your art. If you created this storm with your art, with your wizard spells, use your art, your wizard spells. Just turn it off." And she's just talking to him about like wizard magic, spell casting. But you might notice the word art means work of art also. And so it's worth pointing out that she's comparing what he does. There's a comparison here of what he does. His magic spells are being compared to a work of art. That is a metaphor. Is a work of art, like a sculpture or a painting or a play by William Shakespeare, like a magic spell? And if you're doing metaphor, remember you always got to say what two things are being compared: spell casting with writing a play or making a sculpture. What do they have in common? That's something I'm going to be spending a lot of time in the next videos doing, and not just today, but also next time I see you guys. I'm going to keep going through this metaphor, but this is a major metaphor, which is it's a metaphor the whole play is interested in, not just in this part, but the whole play is interested in this big metaphor, which is how much do art and how much do the magical spell casting and wizards have in common with people who create works of art. And actually, just this video is running down, but I'll just give you a little preview of where we're going. One of the big metaphors in the play I'm really interested in is, I think there's a major metaphor going on in this play. And I think the metaphor is Prospero the Wizard is a metaphor for Shakespeare. Prospero's art is spellcasting, and Shakespeare's work of art is making plays. And I think Shakespeare is using this play to investigate what he's been doing. It's his last play. And this is the play where he's thinking about his whole career and all of these illusions that he created. Prospero casts magical illusions like hallucinations, but Shakespeare makes illusions too. He creates characters on the stage that aren't real and people believe them. And so that's the big metaphor I'm interested in with this play. And I'll see you in the next video.